Good morning and welcome to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am located at 1563 Main Street in Peckville, Pennsylvania, and I am here with you each and every week at this time on this station to bring you, the landowner, the information you need regarding natural gas development. And of course, and as always, I, Doug Clark, the Clark Law Firm, does not, has not, and will not ever, have never, will never represent gas or pipeline companies. I represent landowners, oil and gas right owners for such things as including, but not limited to, oil and gas lease negotiations, pipeline agreement negotiations, all reviews and consultations. Any document that you are presented with by the gas or pipeline company, we do reviews. I personally do them all. Reviews and consultations usually take 2 hours or less. Outstanding feedback. We do that review consultation. I explain what you need to know. What you need to know, not what the company landman who works for the company, not you, the landowner. No, I tell you what you need to know, what you need to understand, your leverage points, your options, and whether you have the ability to decline this offer, negotiate, what I've seen in the past, familiarity with your market, all of those items, and of course, answer any and all questions that you have. And then you have the information that you need to decide what is the best path going forward. I can tell you that many times, literally dozens upon dozens upon dozens of times, I have done reviews and consultations, and after that, the person who had the review and consultation subsequently entered into the agreement in a different form than it was presented to them originally, and for substantially more money. Literally at times, hundreds of thousands of dollars more. Now, that does not happen every time, but I will say this, in most cases, the clients do receive more money than what they were originally offered. Absolutely in most cases. In, I believe, every case, if I get involved in negotiation or working on the documents, the clients sign a much better typically, document than what was originally presented to them. So, as I say often on these reviews and consultations, the worst thing that can ever happen is you fully understand your leverage, you understand the document, you understand all the legalese, you understand your rights, you understand everything about that document, you have your questions answered, and then you can decide what is the best thing for you to do going forward. You also will understand the potential for additional compensation, additional money. You need to do that. And what happens is, and I see it unfortunately way too many times, and that's why I say, stop signing bad agreements. We need to just stop signing paperwork. There is times and times and time again, people are losing tens of thousands routinely, and many times hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I don't care what the agreement is, if it's a lease, a pipeline agreement, storage agreement, meter site, water impoundment pond, you name it. Routinely, the compensation is increased routinely in almost all cases, and significantly in many cases. And again, the worst thing that happens is you understand, hey, I'm at my maximum of what I can do here, and there's not a lot of flexibility, and here's the agreement, and I can make a decision on whether I want to enter it or not. So, and it takes, again, about 2 hours or less for the review, and then you decide how you want to go forward. So, I talk about them all the time. I've been talking about them for well over a year now because I do them. I have, generally a few every single week, and they just continue to prove to be a great service that people love. And again, I know people are nervous about calling attorneys, and I hope that you listen to the radio show and it gives you confidence to give me a call, because I'm the same person in person as I am on the show. So I want you to give us a call and feel confident that, hey, you can take a small step. If you have any reservations at all, take a small step, do a review and consultation, and see where it goes from there. If you want to have additional representation, that's wonderful. I love to help everybody I can. If you don't, and you're set and you don't need any additional compensate or representation, hey, that is fine too. That is fine too. What I want, and that's why I do the radio show, we want to get you informed. We need to stop having our people being taken advantage of. And the reason why people are taken advantage of, it is not because people are stupid. It's not. It's because a lack of information. It's a lack of information. It is, when you look at these documents, I mean, so many times people say to me, I don't understand it. It's like a foreign language. It's like a foreign language. Well, yes, it is. And the problem is you're signing paperwork that you don't understand, and the person on the other side understands it and knows what they don't want you to know about this paperwork. And they know that you probably aren't going to understand the vast majority of the paperwork. So they tell you what they want you to know. They tell you, in my opinion, what they think you want to hear. They're good at their jobs, or else they wouldn't be there. They get paid a nice salary. So people who don't perform don't keep high salary jobs. So think about that. And again, it's a broken record, but there's a reason why I'm a broken record, because it just darn well works. Give us a call about reviews and consultations, any agreement whatsoever, anywhere in the state. Clients, as I say, all across the state, clients located across the country, all the way in the West Coast even, who have property rights or gas rights in Pennsylvania. Don't be afraid of distance. Give us a call. The Clark Law Firm, 570-307-0702. That's 570-307-0702. Make the call and see if we can help you. If you don't like what you hear, hey, that's okay. Make the call. But generally speaking, we have an extremely high client happiness level, we'll call it. And go check out the websites, pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. Check out the testimonials, all by clients. I think there's 100 and some testimonials. So I really encourage you, keep listening to the show, check out the websites, call with any agreement that you're presented with. Also, I represent people for royalty issues, royalty deduction issues, litigation issues, doing more and more, surface use agreements of any kinds, well sites, meter sites, compressor sites, unitization issues, and of course, I'll say it now for my Tioga friends. Here's the deal. We know that SWEPI has all these wells shut in. They drilled these vertical wells, East and SWEPI, cap them and have them shut in, and you're sitting there year after year after year, not getting royalties, but getting shut-in payments. And I'm going to tell you, at a certain point in time, that is completely and totally unacceptable in my book. And I don't think that it's proper. But there has to be a certain time period that you're in this phase, and then I have to look at the exact language of your lease. So what I am doing, I am committed to stopping this. This is outrageous. With clients all in gas-producing areas, SWEPI, Tioga County, this is where I see it. This is where I see it like no other place. And also, Rockdale has taken assignment of a bunch of SWEPI leases, so you could now be leased with Rockdale. So here's what I'm saying, and here's what I'm offering to anybody in this scenario, this particular scenario. If you have 100 acres or more of land under lease, you're not getting royalties, and you're only being held by shut-in payments. These once-a-year checks that you get that are annual shut-in payments. 100 acres or more and shut in for 8 years or more, I want to hear from you. I will do a free review and consultation with this group of people. Free and no obligation of any kind whatsoever. You send me your lease and your declaration of pooling and unitization if you have it. I'll do research on when the wells were drilled, what's going on, and I will give you my opinion as to whether I believe that you have a viable, legitimate claim against the gas company for termination of your lease. And let me tell you, you guys know it. You have a 200-acre property, you get your lease terminated, you get an offer $1,500 an acre, you just made $300,000. So I'm telling you, this is free, and there's no obligation to even proceed afterwards. I want to identify the best cases to bring, and we want to bring them. You don't have to bring it, but we want to bring them. I want to bring these cases. So I really want to hear from you. If you have 100 acres or more, if you're shut in for 8 years or more, and you're not getting any royalties, call 570-307-0702. 570-307-0702. And everybody keep listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark, right here each and every week at this time on this station. So let's get into today's show. So what are we seeing now? What's a hot thing that I'm seeing now? Well, I'm seeing a lot. More and more, and listen up, guys, you're all going to start seeing this more and more. These multi-unit well consent requests, and their documents, and they can be presented in different forms, but both Cabot and Chesapeake are using the same form generally when they present it to people, and that is a multi-unit well consent form. But again, if you're smart, regardless of where you are, if you're given any document to sign, what do? Put the pen down, pick up the telephone, give me a call, 570-307-0702, and get a review and consultation before you sign. That's number one. But now talking about multi-unit well consents, again, they can take forms in other names, so don't get, well, this must not be anything because it doesn't say multi-unit well consent. No. Companies, again, are smart. So what these documents are, again, what we see most often is called a multi-unit well consent, where you would sign this agreement. You're asked to sign it. So here's the deal. The company wants to, companies, not many companies, drilling technology has improved substantially for horizontal drilling, which now allows companies to drill out, instead of say 4,000 or 5,000 feet, what they might be drilling originally, now they are going out with a horizontal portion of the well, 10,000, 15,000 feet, and potentially more. And certainly we would expect the technology to continue to improve, and probably, this is just a expectation, that you're going to see these wells even get longer. So companies are going out to people and asking them to sign multi-unit well consent agreements. Now remember, the radio show websites are never specific advice for anyone. But here's what we need to know. Why, with any document we are given, why are we going to sign? And I have this general rule. Why are you going to sign something? Because there is either going to be a positive benefit to you if you sign the document, or maybe there will be a negative to you if you don't sign the document. So here's what I mean by that. Again, this is not specific advice. Real simple. A positive benefit could be, we will give you, I'm making this up, $20,000 to sign this document. That's not a real offer. I'm just making this up. We'll give you $20,000 to sign this document. Well, that is a positive benefit, $20,000. That's a positive to you. So maybe, and I'm not saying it is, maybe that is the positive benefit that induces you, that pushes you and makes you decide, hey, I like this benefit. I understand, which is key, what this agreement is going to do, and I feel that this is appropriate for me to do. Now, again, this isn't specific advice, and I'm not saying to people, hey, any company's offering $20,000, I'm not saying you run out and sign for $20,000. But my point is that that's an example of a positive benefit. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark. So, what's a negative consequence? Well, if I don't sign, and this is the argument that companies are going to give you all the time, and I'm telling you again, this is not specific advice, and just because they're saying it, you need to get more detail because just because they're saying it doesn't make it true. Not saying it is or isn't true. I'm saying you need specific advice. But here's an example of a negative consequence, and I'm going to give you something pretty specific. Here's a negative consequence. The company wants to drill a multi-unit well. Now, again, what is a multi-unit well? Well, it's going to be drilled, we'll say, in Unit 1. The first unit, they drill down and they start going out horizontally through that first unit where the well is, and we'll call that Unit 1. Normally, they would stop drilling at the boundary point, at the end point of Unit 1. And then they would take the rig over to Unit 2 and they would drill a well in Unit 2. Well, now the multi-unit well, they're starting the well in Unit 1, and instead of stopping it at the end of Unit 1, they're continuing on and they're going into Unit 2, and sometimes even into a third unit, thus the multiple units with a single well. So, this is a possibility, but again, not specific advice, and I can't say that enough. So, your property is all the way at the end in the third unit. And the company tells you, hey, we want to drill this well. And if we get you to sign and all these people to sign, we're going to drill it through Unit 1, Unit 2, and into Unit 3 where your property is. And you will get royalties from that. If you don't sign, then we're not going to drill this well this year or next year. We're going to just wait years and see who knows when we'll come back. So your motivation is by not signing, this well may not be drilled and I will not receive the royalties. Well, that can be a negative consequence. That can be a negative consequence. But is it truly a negative consequence? Well, how do we find that out? Well, first, by research, knowledge, and experience. But here's the next part. Here's another part. You're going to get the benefit if that well is drilled, and the consequence, the company's saying, hey, if you sign this, we're going to drill this well this year. If you don't sign this, who knows when we're going to come back, and you're going to benefit because you're all the way, you're at the last unit, and if we don't drill through all of these units, you're not going to get more royalties for quite some time. So you say, well, geez, that seems like a negative consequence by not signing. And in fact, it could be. Very well could be. So what do we do? Well, Mr. Company Man, you tell me I should sign because you're going to drill this well in this year. So how about we do this? How about, and you tell me you're going to drill this one well and this is how it's going to benefit me, this one long multi-unit well. And you show me a map. You say, here's what we're going to do. So here's what we say. Well, okay, company, I can see where I could benefit from this, but if I sign this agreement, it gives you all kinds of other rights, not just what you're showing me on this map. Oh, and by the way, you're saying that this map is just for illustration purposes, maybe, and we may not even drill it, or we might drill a different well. So really, you're giving me no commitment whatsoever, but you're telling me something that you might do. So how about we do this? You're saying if you don't sign, we're not going to drill this well this year. Well, let's do this, guys. Let's put in some language that says that I will agree, or that I agree when I sign this, and you agree that the company will drill a well within the next year. Maybe we'll give them 2 years. You say you're going to drill it this year, well, let's give you 2. And I'll tell you, there's a good chance you may be able to get that added in under the circumstances. Again, not specific advice for anybody. But now we start saying, put the pen where your mouth is, where you're telling me you're going to drill. Well, let's write it down. Then you also say to me, hey, this is the well we plan on drilling. Well, okay, how about then I'll give you permission for this particular well and this well only. And if you don't drill it, this permission expires. And if you need permission for another well, then you come back and you see me again. As a general rule, companies want agreements to be as broad as possible. As a general rule, we want the agreements to be as specific and limiting as possible. Don't forget that. And how do you think these contracts are drafted by the company lawyers who are pretty darn smart? Well, they're not drafted to be very limiting, as you might imagine. All right, I'm up against it here for the first segment. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Make sure, join me each and every week for All Things Marcellus right here at this time on this station. And give us a call, reviews, consultations, any and all representation, regardless of your location. 570-307-0702. 570-307-0702. You're not calling for review and consultation, and you got paperwork in front of you you're considering signing. What are you doing? Do a review consultation. Get the information. I do most of them by telephone. Everyone's invited to the office. But call in first and see if it's right for you. 570-307-0702. And keep listening. I'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Been doing this radio show since 2010. We're in our 9th year. We're not stopping because we got important things to say. And today we're talking about multi-unit wells and the consent forms that companies ask people to sign. As a general rule, I always say to people, there's only one way you can make a mistake, and that's sign something without being informed and understanding it. That's why I preach the reviews and consultations. So if you're given any document, you should be getting a review and consultation either by me or by somebody who knows what they're doing, who is working for you, not the gas company. I don't care how nice they are. You need somebody working for you. So even if it's not me, I'd love to hear from you. Please get somebody who's working for you, because think about it. The other side, this is an adversarial process. Doesn't mean you have to go out in boxing gloves, but it's adversarial. You're trying to do, and should darn well be trying to do, the best that you can for you, your family, your property, and future generations. You better be doing that. The company, what are they doing? What they could do, the best they can do for the company, their situation, their shareholders, that's their obligation. So you have two sides in a discussion, negotiation, each trying to do the best they possibly can. One side, the company, having all of these resources, knowledge, information, experience, doing thousands, tens of thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of agreements across the country. And there you have you reading and looking at documents that appear to be in a foreign language. And again, you can be brilliant. You could be a brilliant, brilliant person. But if you do not understand the industry, the loopholes, how companies use these documents going forward and have that experience, the fact that you have a 160 IQ isn't really going to help you a lot. Yeah, maybe you understand the words, but you don't understand how they apply. So you have one side, your adversary, who's loaded with all kinds of information, skill, knowledge, and experience. And then you have your side. And what I'm saying to you is, get somebody to work for you who can bring knowledge, experience, and information and can tell you what you need to know. You should be doing this for yourself, future generations, not leaving things on the table. Who's going to go in and negotiate with an adversary who has every resource, all the experience, and has a market cap in the billions of dollars, and you're going to negotiate with them on something you've never, or you're going to sign something you never have seen before, that you truly, and unfortunately, you truly don't understand it, and you don't know if you've maximized your money, you don't know if you've maximized your protections, and we have to stop that. And that's why I preach the reviews and consultations, because I understand people are nervous. But for 2 hours, we do a review, 1 to 2 hours to do a review, consultation, give you the information, and you have no obligation to do anything else. And I'm going to talk to you, and if you want to do something, hey, great, I'm here. I want to help everybody I can. But we got to stop signing these documents. We have to. We have to stop signing them when we're not informed and not maximizing them. Again, my clients routinely get more money, routinely, but they also understand what they are doing. They understand what they're doing, and when they sign when they're informed, and they know that they're signing the best possible agreement that we can negotiate and obtain for the most money at the present time. That's what we do. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Join me each and every week at this time on this station. So, we're talking about multi-unit wells. This is an outstanding example. Bear with me on this because this is an outstanding example of something, a review and consultation, something very obscure and something that is potentially very powerful for you. Potentially very, very powerful for you. And I'm going to tell you this. If you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to figure this out. No offense to divorce lawyers, civil lawyers, none at all. But let me tell you, if you don't have the experience in this, you're not going to figure this stuff out either. So let me give you this example. So again, multi-unit well consents are these requests that the company asks you, and they present documents. They can take different names. They ask you to sign this document to allow a well bore to go through your unit and into another unit, or to allow a well bore to first go through a separate unit before it comes into yours. Again, the well would go down, straight down, be drilled out horizontally, not stop at the end of the first unit, but continue into the second unit and maybe even a third unit. And in the future, maybe into a fourth unit. So we need to understand, what does that mean for you, the landowner? So you may have extreme leverage. You may not, but you may have strong leverage. And if there's ever legislation passed who allows multi-unit wells, let me tell you, without getting your permission, you still may have leverage. And let me give you an example. So here's an example. Somebody says, hey, I got this multi-unit well consent document. I hear that really smart, cool guy on the radio, and I say, hey, I'm going to give that guy a call because I want to do a review and consultation. I don't want to be taken advantage of, and I want to make sure I'm maximizing my circumstance. So what do? You send me, you call 570-307-0702. You hear about the review consultation. You say, hey, sounds like a great service. We get you set up. You live far away. We do it by telephone. You send me your gas lease and the multi-unit well consent. I do whatever research is necessary from my end, and I review all the documents. I study these documents for loopholes, for leverage points. That's what you need to be looking at. So here's a great example. So let's pretend that this client, we'll create this situation. The client is in the first unit. So the well will go through the first unit into the second, and we'll say into a third unit. Well, since the client is in the first unit, maybe they're not as concerned about a multi-unit well, because if the company doesn't drill, or if they drill the well and they stop at the end of the first unit, well, that person still gets royalties for the gas in that first unit. So maybe, again, we got to look at every situation individually, but maybe they say, hey, look, I don't care so much, so I feel like I can try to push the company to see if I can do better. That can be a very legitimate position. Can be very legitimate. But again, it's not specific advice, just one example. But how about this? Let's say that this person does our review and consultation, sends me the documents, I look at it, and as I read the lease and I read the addendum, and this addendum has a pipeline provision. Now let me explain. Number one, the person who is in Unit 1, in my example, has some additional leverage here because they don't care so much if it's a shorter well or a longer well because they're located in the unit closer to the drilling. However, Again, this is not specific advice because there are other factors that could motivate that person to want to go ahead and sign the multi-unit well consent form. But if they do, they are going to want to limit it. They want to negotiate for any type of benefit that they can get. And I can't get into detail, but there may be some benefits that you can get. So again, every time a document is presented to you, you need to see that as an opportunity. So the person in this first unit says, hey, I believe I have some more leverage, so I'm going to hang out here. I'm going to see what happens, or I'm going to try to negotiate with you. Now, that person, again, you have to handle this on an individual basis, but that person may decide that it's in their best interest to hold out, to try to negotiate to see if something happens. The person may also say, hey, maybe I have a surface use lease and I want to prevent the company from using my surface. So maybe that's an extra benefit that I can negotiate in exchange for granting the multi-unit well consent. So of course, the first thing everyone's going to be looking at and should look at: can I get more money? Can I get higher royalty? Can I get no deductions? Can I get a no surface lease? How can I change my lease? How can I improve it? And we need to be trying to do that. Interestingly, Chesapeake at one point tells me, hey, we're not offering any money for people because we got all these people to sign, and they signed without money. So what does that tell us? Well, maybe if they didn't all just sign without money, the company would have paid money. So my opinion, generally speaking, is never too late. Never too late. But let me tell you something else that happens. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. These multi-unit well consents also have this, well, I hate to use the term, but trickle-down impact. What do I mean by that? Let's pretend, now we have a client who calls, and they're presented with a pipeline right-of-way agreement. And the company landman, who, by the way, as we all know, works for the company and not you, the landowner, says to you, we have the right to do this because your lease allows a pipeline across your property. And good thing for you that we're so nice. We're such nice guys. We're going to give you free money. We're going to give you $10, $15 a foot for a pipeline agreement that we have the right to install this pipeline on your property because the pipeline that we want to install is going to be carrying gas from the unit that you're included in. And most leases that allow for surface operations allow a company to install pipelines across your property if those pipelines are carrying gas from your unit where your property is in. Most of the time, that is accurate. Again, not specific advice, so don't go writing that down and say, oh, that always happens. But usually that's the case. Again, usually if your lease allows for pipelines, usually speaking, you can't say, well, I'm not going to sign an agreement and the company can't put a pipeline on my property. In most cases, if the pipeline is carrying your gas from your unit, you can't stop it if you have a surface lease, meaning allows surface operations. However, now we're talking about multi-unit wells. Wells that are going through your unit, first unit where your property is, and then into a second unit where you have no property. Then into a third unit where you have no property. So, when you're presented with a pipeline agreement and you do a review and consultation and you send me your gas lease and you send me the pipeline agreement, then what do? Well, I'm going to explain it to you in the next segment. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Give us a call. Call before you sign anything. Any and all landowner representations. As always, I have not, do not, and I will never represent a gas or pipeline company. Call 570-307-0702. Write it down, 570-307-0702. We're here to help you, and I'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Remember, Join me every week at this time on this station for All Things Marcellus and check out the websites. If you have a pipeline agreement or get a pipeline offer and you're not going to pipelineattorney.com, I don't know why. It's free, it's just general information, not specific advice. But again, the killer for us on our side, the landowner side, is a lack of information. The people sign bad agreements because they're not informed. People sign bad agreements because they trust their adversary. The adversary who is negotiating against them, they trust, who's working for the other side. So we need to stop that and stop that mentality. We have to do it. So check out Pipeline Attorney, check out PA Gas Lease Attorney. Keep listening, pagasleaseattorney.com. Keep listening to All Things Marcellus each and every week. And when you have a representation need, or you're given a contract, or you think your lease is breached, or you think you have unitization or royalty issues, and you want to get them resolved or investigated, give us a call. 570-307-0702. 570-307-0702. And I encourage everybody to, if you know anyone else that I've ever represented, talk to them too. I proudly stand by my reputation. I very proudly do. And I know what people tell me, and I know people who call and say, I talked to my neighbor, they were so happy. Again, don't be afraid to call. And if you don't like what you hear, you don't ever have to call again. But ask around, check out the websites. If you have any reservation, call, find out who we are and what we do. My goal, I swear it, is to help everybody I can, because I see what happens. And as you know, if you listen to the show, as a kid who grew up on Airport Road in Armstrong County, Pennsylvania, whose dad worked at Allegheny Ludlam Mill and farmed on the side, same thing with his grandfather, my goal is to make sure that people like my grandfather, who was an amazing, amazing man, who worked his butt off every day, and my dad, who still does, I don't want to see those people taken advantage of, not because they're not intelligent, because this isn't their area. They don't have the information. And you know what else? They're really, really trusting. My dad and my grandfather, probably my dad more, very, very trusting. Remember, you are dealing with an adversary, and an adversary who has a market cap in the billions of dollars, who have very, very smart lawyers working for them, and you should too. So if you don't call me, but you can at 570-307-0702, call someone who knows what they're doing. All right, so I'm telling you, this is great stuff that's going to happen. I talk about these agreements being opportunities. Opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. Document is handed to you. Just see in your mind the word opportunity written all across it. And here's what I mean. So let's say that you're given a pipeline right-of-way agreement. And again, you say, I hear that really smart, cool guy on the radio, so I'm going to send him my pipeline right-of-way agreement, my gas lease, and I'm going to do a review and consultation, which usually takes 1 to 2 hours. I'm going to do it by telephone because I live all the way in the western part of the state. I do these all the time. They send it to me. I investigate. I read the pipeline agreement. I read the gas lease. I do some investigation. And I find out that this person is getting royalties from a multi-unit well that was drilled. And what does that mean? It means that the multi-unit well, it goes through one unit, we'll say the closest unit where the well site is, it goes straight down and out horizontally through the first unit, doesn't stop there, but continues horizontally through a second unit, and then keeps on going out into a third unit. It's a long well, and so there are 3 units. So when that gas comes out of the ground, that gas is being drawn from 3 separate and distinct units in the same well. Company comes again and says, hey, we're such great guys, we're going to give you money, we don't even need your permission to do this, but we want to put a pipeline and we're going to offer you $15 a foot just because we're great guys. Well, person, again, smart, sends in their paperwork, I read it, and check out this language. And there are all different types of forms to this, but check this out. And so the company landman says, oh, we have the right to do it, so sign here. Well, if we have the right to do it, why am I signing? But we have the right to do it, sign here, and we'll give you $15 a foot of free money. Well, let's check this out. This agreement, the lease agreement, has a pipeline provision, and the pipeline provision in the addendum of the agreement says that if the company agrees that any gas lines, tank batteries, separators, or compressors shall be placed on the premises only if they are in conjunction with a well or wells located on the leased premises or on lands pooled therewith. So, let's dissect that a little bit. If you have a well that goes through 3 different units, meaning it's drawing gas from 3 different units, you need, in your approach for a pipeline, you need to understand your lease rights. Because I'm going to tell you that, in my opinion, many leases, because this gas is not limited to just your unit, but will be involved or carrying gas from other units that you're not participating in. That, ladies and gentlemen, is going to create problems for the company in some cases, in a lot of cases, if the people are smart enough to investigate. If they investigate and do reviews and consultations and find out, is this really true? Because this language says that the company has the ability to install a gas line, but that gas line has to be in relation to a well on your property or on wells from a well with property that your land is pooled with or you're in a unit. It does not say, again, it does not say that the pipeline can be installed without your permission if it's carrying gas from another unit and a third unit in a multi-unit well. It does not say that. It says that the pipeline can be installed without your permission if the well is on your property or the gas is coming from this well is from a unit that you're pooled with. Doesn't address, in our case, that, well, yeah, some of the gas in that pipeline would be from your unit, but you know what? A lot of the gas is coming from other units. And this says here that it has to be your unit. Your unit. So what does that mean? Leverage time, guys. Leverage time. And imagine this. Imagine if your property is right by or at the well site, and they need to get this gas off with pipelines. They need to get it off. And in order to get it off, they want to come across your property. And then they tell you, oh, we have the right to do it. It's going to be your gas. Yes, but not so fast. It's going to be other people's gas too. And I'm going to do a review and consultation and figure out my rights. And you may find out that they don't have the right to do it. And they have all this gas sitting there and they need to get across your property. And certainly now you're in a really nice position to negotiate. So maybe you remember back when you were given $50 or $100 an acre. Maybe you remember back when you tried to negotiate the multi-unit well consent and you weren't pleased with the results, or whatever else the case may be. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, is your opportunity. And we need to identify opportunities. And I'm going to tell you this. The companies say, when they have the ability to do it, they say, well, you signed the agreement, you have the ability to do it. Remember, when the companies do not have the ability to do it, don't feel that you need to give it to them. Negotiate and maximize your position. They come back to you to amend and modify your lease to make it something better they like. We don't go to them, unfortunately, to amend and modify the lease to something we like. They would laugh at us. So when they come and they need something from you, and you don't have, or you have the leverage, don't be afraid to use it. Again, you've heard me say a couple times today, they have multi-billion-dollar market caps. You will not break them. You will not break them. I've done one pipeline agreement did over $1,000 a foot. Have offers right now. Have multiple offers right now, $100 a foot. Not saying that happens all the time, but if you're not pushing, if you're not learning, and you're not doing what you need to do and getting the information by somebody who's working for you, Well, you'll never know. You'll never know. And that's too bad. That's a shame. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark at the Clark Law Firm. Call, reviews, consultations, all legal representation, landowners, gas right owners only. 570-307-0702. 570-307-0702. And keep listening to All Things Marcellus. I'll be back. We have a short final segment. Stay tuned. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Again, keep listening each and every week to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark, at this time on this station. Keep checking out pagasleaseattorney.com and pipelineattorney.com. I've been doing the radio show now. We're in our 9th year of this radio show. So we have many hours, all kinds of topics available on the websites, regardless of where you are. You can just go on the websites anytime and listen to a radio show of interest to you. All different topics. The websites, again, pagasleaseattorney.com and pipelineattorney.com. And today's show will be up and available tomorrow morning. So, we were talking about multi-unit well consents. And if you're given one of these documents, I can't tell you enough. Put the pen down, pick up the phone, give us a call, 570-307-0702. The other, look into the future that we were talking about, that was talking about last segment, is these multi-unit wells are going to produce gas from multiple units, thus the name, multi-unit wells. Well, your gas lease may have, many do, pipeline restriction language that now forces the company to negotiate with you and gives you very strong leverage, because your lease says, in many cases, that the only pipelines that can be installed on your property without your written consent and a separate written agreement, that the only ones that could occur with are pipelines that are going to wells that are producing gas from your unit. And so when you start extending these wells into other units where you don't have property, now you're in the pipeline negotiation game with nice leverage. Everything has to be looked at individually. I can never say that enough. It's not specific advice. But these multi-unit wells are going to open the door for increased pipeline leverage. And the companies are going to be making it. They say, oh, we're going to make all this money. This is so great. They're not going to go broke by you maximizing your leverage. You're going to make all this money, landowner. You're going to make all this money. Well, you know what, company? I might make 15%, but you're making 85. And yeah, you have expenses, things like that, but you got a lot more 85s interest out there than I have in my 115 one lease that I have 15% interest on. We have to maximize these agreements. We have to maximize these agreements. And how do you do that? You find out what your leverage is. You find out what your rights are. You find out your ability to negotiate. You get your questions answered, and then you implement your leverage to whatever degree that you're comfortable and satisfied with. Or, on the flip side, as unfortunately many people do, you can listen to the landman who is your adversary. They don't work for you. They work for the company. Nothing against them. It's their job. It's okay. That's their job. Our job is to identify it, to identify that the person sitting across from us at our kitchen table telling us how wonderful everything's going to be and how rich we're going to be and how this is going to have virtually no or no impact on my property, well, that person's your adversary. They may be telling you the truth. It may be, but they may not be. They may not be. And I'm going to give you a news flash. They don't always tell the truth. It just is the reality of it. People don't always tell the truth. So we need to make sure that you know what the truth is and what can help you and benefit you in your specific individual situation. Who relies on their adversary to educate them, to guide them, to hand them the pen? Well, they notarize the document. Put the pen down, pick up the phone, because we have to stop signing these bad agreements. every document, take this from today's show, every document that you are ever given that has your name on it for a signature, you must look at that as an opportunity. At the end, it may not pan out to be an opportunity, but it may be an opportunity, and it may be something that if you maximize, that it can benefit you substantially and benefit future generations. But you have to look at it and say, I'm going to get to the bottom of this and make sure I do the best I can with it. You can't, in my opinion, say, oh, well, this guy seemed really nice. We're going to get a bunch of money. This sounds awesome. So let me hurry up and sign. Conveniently, great. The gentleman's also a notary. That's wonderful. Think about that, guys. Think about it. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Make sure you join me each and every week at this time on this station for All Things Marcellus. And I'm going to take the closing part of this show here. And this can happen elsewhere, but it really happens in Tioga. I talked about it earlier, but I want to remind everybody again, for this class of landowner and people, I am doing 100% free reviews and consultations with no obligation whatsoever. And what I mean by it, here's the group and here's what I'm doing. If you are, and it's typically in Tioga County, if you are being held, meaning, okay, let me back up. You have 100 acres or more. You have 100 acres or more, and you are being held under an older lease, and you're getting yearly shut-in payments. So the company typically has drilled a vertical well. They've capped it, so it's not producing gas. Many, many cases, there's not even pipelines connected to the wells. And if you have been shut in for 8 years or more, meaning you're getting these once a year payments, these little checks sent to you called shut-in payments. Again, resetting. If you have 100 acres or more, you're being held by a well that is not paying you any royalties, but you are only getting these annual or once a year shut-in payments sent to you. And you've been in that condition for 8 years or more. I want to do a free review and consultation. You send me your lease. Generally, that's all I really need, and I can look up what's going on in your area, and I will let you know whether I think you have a legitimate, viable claim to bring against the gas company to terminate your lease. I will also let you know if I believe, in my opinion, your lease is actually terminated. And I will tell you, if I believe that, what I would recommend and what you could do to proceed. What you do from there is entirely up to you. But I can tell you, my goal is to stop this, because you didn't sign a lease in 2001, 2004, 5, 6, thinking that you'd be sitting there in 2019, 2020 and never receive a royalty. That was never the deal. That wasn't what you thought was going to occur. That wasn't the idea. And so I think there's something we can do about it. I need to look at your particular lease, because leases are written differently. And we've had success. We've been able to cancel or have leases terminated that the company wasn't terminating voluntarily already. So think about that. You have 100 acres. We terminate the lease. You get a new lease for $100 or $1,500 an acre. You just made $150,000. Plus, you probably got a higher royalty rate. So 8 years or more shut in, 100 acres or more, you're not getting royalties. Give us a call, free review and consultation. In that scenario, 570-307-0702. Again, that's 570-307-0702. I want to hear from you. I want to help you. And let's remember, the landman works for the company, not you, the landowner. Let's stop signing bad agreements. Let's put down the pen and pick up the phone, 570-307-0702, and keep listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark, each and every week at this time on this station. Have a great, great week, everyone. See you next week.